Hey everybody, this is Charlie subbing in for TheTopher to bring you some beautiful sunny Southern California top-down driving in the 2024 Porsche 718 Spyder RS. Well, TheTopher is at home in Michigan, hooning his Ranger Raptor around in the snow. He thought it would be a good little break for you guys for me to show you some warm weather driving in the most powerful topless 718 that Porsche has made to date. Technically speaking, they don't call this a Boxster, but please forgive me if I use the name Boxster interchangeably throughout this review. This is essentially just a topless version of the 718 GT4 RS, a Cayman version, the hardtop, which we've seen TheTopher drive before. This is getting the same naturally aspirated 4-liter flat 6 motor, making 331 pound-feet of torque and 493 horsepower. You only get a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Porsche says that's the only transmission they had that would spin fast enough and respond quickly enough with this powertrain, and I have to tend to believe them. This is one of the best automatic transmissions on the market. This one you're looking at here has the Weissach package, which gives you a bunch of exposed carbon fiber, as well as allows you to option the titanium wheels with the center locks and the carbon ceramic brakes. Reduces about 60 pounds of rotating mass at the wheels, if I remember correctly. Pretty impressive there. The car only weighs about 3,200 pounds. We're running Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s with 295/30 ZR20s in the rear and 245/35 ZR20s in the front. This is vanadium gray metallic for the paint. And of course, you have the carbon fiber hood, or I guess it would still be a hood for a frunk, right? But in order to save weight and theoretically improve the aerodynamics, you only get a sticker for the badge. No real Porsche crest on the front there. This car is all about being lightweight and as driving satisfying as possible. For those of you who are not in the know, the Spyder has a manual roof. So it's not only manually retractable or anything like that, like an NA Miata. No, this one you actually have to remove from the trunk, put on, and strap down. I'm not going to show you here because even if you had done it 10,000 times, it would still take you about 2 minutes to complete. And I promise you it would take me quite a bit longer. So maybe we'll drop that at the end of the video, me putting the top back on. But you want to hear it with the top down, because what's the point of getting the Boxster version of the 718 Spyder RS if you're not going to have the top down, listening to this glorious engine and intake with the individual throttle bodies on this flat 6 motor. Today's going to be a pretty simple drive. We're going to go up Ortega Highway down here in southern Orange County, and that'll be it. I mean, that's what you really want to see with this car, is some spirited driving. Inside we see more carbon fiber. We've got cup holders, classic German car style cup holders there. We have an infotainment display that gives us wired Apple CarPlay support and no Android Auto support. We have the 3-pod gauge cluster setup here with speed on the left, tachometer in the center, and a customizable digital display on the right. A little bit of center console storage. Carbon bucket seats that are fixed for recline, but you can slide them back and forth and go up and down. And then pull straps for your door handles, again, saving weight. In the center, we have buttons for PDK Sport. This is going to make our transmission a little bit more responsive. Suspension adjustment, front end lift, a exhaust button to make it louder or quieter, ESC off, and then ESC and traction control off. Nice, easy to use buttons. I've put about 200 miles on the car, and it's actually surprisingly livable. Porsche didn't make this car exactly like the Cayman version. They actually made the spring rates a little bit softer. The engine is the same, and I believe it weighs 11 pounds less than the Cayman. So virtually imperceptible here on the road. And what I've appreciated is that it's fairly usable day to day. The ride is compliant. The transmission, when just left in normal mode, shifts reasonably. The car still has usable space, having a frunk and a trunk. We'll show you those at the end of the video. And the car quiets right down when you allow it to. If we put it in quiet mode, you can hear how quickly it's shifting. Wind intrusion, minimal. Throw on the muffs. It does rev a little high when cruising at highway speeds. Here at 60, we're already almost 3,000 RPM in top gear. But a very livable place to be if you did want to daily drive this car. That sound is borderline deafening. And what's cool is that it makes so many different sorts of noises depending on where you are in the rev range, how hard you're pressing the accelerator, and what the engine's being asked to do. Once we get right up about 7,500 to 9,000 RPM, you hear this shriek from the fueling system. It's unlike any other car. It's a metallic raspiness that you just get right up at the very, very top. Where you're used to shifting in most cars, you're just getting started here in the Spyder RS. I admit it would be fun to have a 6-speed manual in the car, just because it is such an engaged driving experience, and because it's the convertible, I'm not feeling like I need to go out and hunt down lap times and try to go around every corner at 10/10ths. So it would be kind of cool to roll my own, but it's such a responsive transmission. Paddles are metallic, they feel good. I can also shift with the center shifter. That's pretty satisfying as well. So I don't mind the transmission. I could just also see the argument to going with one of the non-RS cars where you can get the manual. I'll also say with the GT4 RS, I felt a little claustrophobic inside there because you have this cacophony behind you. I mean, it's again one of the loudest cars we've ever driven, and in that car, you feel a little bit enclosed with this screaming motor right behind you, and then just all this noise circulating in the cabin. In the Boxster, the Spyder RS here, it's open, and you feel like the sound can ring out a little bit. It's a little bit more of an airy, natural feel. When Porsche set out to develop this Spyder RS, they were not tracking lap times. They didn't publish a Nürburgring time for this car. I'm sure it would be fantastic, but it's not its intention. Porsche made it to be the best road-going car as possible. They figured, hey, if you're going to be going to the track, you're going to want the full rollover protection of the coupe. So with this car, they made the suspension more livable, but they still gave you that motor. And that's just so great. We're going to get up into these great twisty roads and we're just going to let you all listen. there's this incredible sensation where when you start to corner harder, the car just rotates more. And I know it sounds silly, I'm expecting the car to start to either understeer or oversteer. I'm starting to expect the chassis to protest and the tires to reach their limits. But instead, the car says, is that all you want to do? And then you can see that departure right there. It's this magic between the mid-engine, the differential, the mechanical grip, the neutral aerodynamic lift. I don't know if I've ever gone through these corners this quickly. I mean, it's not only quick, it's effortlessly as well. The car's just skating and dancing and having a merry time. It doesn't have a gut punch acceleration the way we're almost used to these days with modern supercars, but it has a rewarding crescendo of power because it's naturally aspirated, because it does rev so high. I mean, let's be honest, it's not that impressive of a torque figure, but the whole package is where it becomes so satisfying. And I kind of like that it's not absurdly fast the way we're getting with some electric vehicles and turbocharged and electrified supercars, because I am actually able to enjoy the car at some semblance of legal speed. I just did this route in the Lamborghini Revuelto, and I mean, you breathe on the throttle of that, you're doing 1,000 horsepower. Of course you're going to be speeding. This car is satisfying at much more reasonable speeds, relatively speaking. Engine is as impressive as it is because it really isn't the whole story of this car. This car could have an electric motor, it could have a forced induction 4-cylinder, and the chassis and the tuning and the drivability would still be outstanding. I think that's something that we've seen with some of the more base level Boxsters and Caymans, is that they are still fantastic to drive. Considerate of this gentleman's livelihood. But then Porsche has paired it with this motor that's intoxicating and really created an outstanding package. What a machine. And of course you got front end lift for when you're coming into areas where you don't want to scrape your front. There it is, the Porsche 718 Spyder RS. When Porsche wants to make one of the best driving cars on the road, they don't hold back. And this is now the best one you could ever get without a roof. So thank you all for watching. Look at all the rocks we've picked up. This is almost flypaper. I'm gonna have to drive so careful as to not spit those all up on the paint on the way out. Here we are, we're going to put the Spyder RS's top back on, and I have not done this before. I took it off when I first received the car, and it's time for the car to go back, so we're going to try this. I've watched the video tutorial, so theoretically I know what to do, but let's see if I can get it all without referencing the video again. First things first, we're going to take out the top here, and we're going to flip that open, grab it, put it right on. Get in. Secure that. Okay. Then we're going to roll this out and get, I think it's these elements go right in these holes there. Okay. And then we have to do the tension parts. Oh, that has come out. That one. There's this first part, the sunshade, and then there's the full weather protector that we're doing next. So it would be a little different if we were doing sunshade only. And that goes here, and then we add tension. Okay, this actually isn't too bad so far. Next, we come into here for this bag. This is the full weather protector part. A little window. Around. Remember, you gotta put the middle flap in first. And that one. This is going to go onto here. I think the windows maybe should be open. Can you do this without opening the window? I think opening the door should be enough. That goes in like that. Okay. And then you have to tuck this down in behind the firewall. This. Interestingly, the top speed of the Spyder RS is much higher with the top off the car, with it being a Spyder, which kind of makes sense. It's not the most in-place top. This doesn't seem to be sitting in there properly. Is that? All right. We got that. It's tucked in. Tension is done. Clips are in. I think we're ready to close the rear. Then you bring these parts back, you open that, slide that in. Okay. You know, that's actually not too bad. It looks a little haphazard, and it sounds cumbersome. And obviously it's not as slick as just pressing a button and having it open for you. It's not bad. And in fact, there is a little bit of a fun element of how mechanical everything is, sliding it into these perfectly engineered clasps. Okay, I think we have a roof on the Spyder RS. Nice.